Hi guys, welcome back to episode 41 of our Q1 FY26 earnings season. And in today's video, we will be discussing about the race in the B2B segment of the jewelry space. So we will be discussing about quite a few companies. We will be talking about Sky Gold, Ashapuri, RBC, Khazanchi, Utsav. These are the five companies that are there in the B2B space of your jewelry segment. Now, अगर हम पहले बात करते, I think I've already done a separate video for Sky Gold and diamonds. We've already discussed about it in detail, but here I will just give you a preview of what is happening with Sky Gold. Right, I won't do in depth because we will talk more from Sky Gold का perspective in terms of the race while we're doing a P2P. Okay, Sky Gold का अगर आप देखते हो, right, पहला बात है whatever the guidance that has been given, because इस साल का guidance था to do around 5500 crores in revenue, and when you look at it, they have done exactly what they have promised, right? Because whatever the sales growth number that is there, it is right up there, like almost in Q1 they have done around 1300 crores in revenue. Sales is up by around 55%. If you look at the PAT is up by 96%. If you look at the PAT margin is also inching up to 3.9. The target this time for PAT margin is to reach 4 to 5%, right? So overall the result is fantastic, right? Nothing to complain. Even in terms of volume growth also, अगर आप देखते हो, volume growth if you look at it, it is 450 kgs this year versus 350 kgs. And the fact that इसका volume growth बढ़ रहा है, because you see, right, क्या हो रहा है अभी, you would see one thing with the entire jewelry space is that the gold price is rising up, right? Like and it is rising like in an exorbitant amount, right? मतलब 30% से increase हुआ है from the starting of the year, right? Just in a span of few months, gold prices has risen by 30% this time. So when you talk about this, gold का prices में इतना भाव अगर increase होता है, think about it, right? जब भी एक one person is going for shopping, right, uska budget hai 1 lakh, so he wouldn't, now that the gold price has increased by 30%, they wouldn't be spending now more than 1 lakh. Whatever their budget is, they will do that. So earlier probably he was getting like 15 grams of gold, now he'll get 10 grams of gold. So kya hota hai, ye jo gold prices badta hai na, and that time what happens is the volume growth comes down but the sales growth still remains intact, because jo bhi wo volume growth ka, that disparity is there, it gets, it becomes okay with the value growth. So in spite, when you're having itna, the fact that you're having itna sa yahan pe, problems, I wouldn't say problems, but necessarily a surge in gold price, the fact that they've been able to maintain this kind of volume growth, it's really stunning. Other than that, we've seen, right, inka agar aap dekhte ho, they've gone on to add more clients such as Aditya Birla, PN Gadgil Jewelers, so forth and so on, right? Other than that, agar aap dekhte ho, inka jo bhi other updates hai, whether it is, importing that gold from Dubai, all of that is on plan. All, and even right now also they're very very confident ki like is saal they will do 5500 to 5600, and probably from next year they will do somewhere, a 7200, crores in revenues. So Sky Gold overall, if you see, on top of the place, absolutely flawless performance, everything. The only problem that becomes with Sky Gold is, going forward, right, I think it becomes very hard for you to, continue to build positions over here, right? Like because right now I think you will already see it is like a 50% का growth engine, आगे जाके वो 36% का growth engine हो जाएगा. So what happens is over a period of time क्या हो रहा है, the pace of growth is coming down and the valuation will keep getting expensive, right? Earlier it was a 100% growth engine, abhi 50, then next 36%, until and unless obviously they come here and they revise the guidance again for an upper end, maybe, because उनका जो नया plant आने वाला है, right, in Bombay only they're putting up another plant, maybe because of that. It's just that although the business performance is very stunning, very nice, very great, right, and they are doing exactly what it is promised, it just becomes, slowly the valuation that is there is also getting expensive, and it is reaching a point where, where the earlier we've had with Sky Gold, it was like, growth rate was high and the PE was low, and now slowly you will see that, the growth rate will be coming down and the PE will get higher. So that is the only thing with Sky Gold. Although brilliant performance, valuation ka thoda, aage jaake if the pace of growth comes down, that becomes a little bit of concern. Then we have Ashapuri Gold Ornaments, which is like, I would say, the closest competitor in this space to Sky Gold. Why I'm telling closest is because you'll get to know. If you look at Ashapuri Gold Ornaments, these people are like a small manufacturers from Gujarat. Okay. Now, agar aap dekhte ho, obviously with Ashapuri, and if you look at Sky Gold, zameen aasmaan ka fark hai in terms of when you talk in terms of the manufacturing capabilities, because If you look at what is that, Sky Gold is making 450 kgs per month. ये तो बनाते हैं 500 kg पूरा साल का. Understand the difference. I mean, like, Sky Gold का production capacity is 10-15 times more than what Asha Puri can do. Like, think about it, right? Asha Puri is doing 500 kgs full year, whereas Sky Gold is doing, hardly, Sky Gold is doing, sorry, 500 kgs per month. मतलब right now I think you can understand the difference in terms of size, the difference in terms of capabilities with both the companies. Now अगर हम आशापुरी का बात करते हैं यहाँ पे, again, like you remember, आशापुरी had been very bullish at the start, at the end of Q4 of FY25. Last time क्या हुआ था, they had a very splendid performance, और उन्होंने ये बोला था कि like आगे जाके for the year FY26 we will target a 50% growth in terms of a top line. And उनका जो existing capacity था, the existing capacity was, I think they were making 500 kgs of gold, okay, every year, and they wanted to increase the capacity from 500 kgs to 750 kgs of gold per year. Now इस capacity को बढ़ाने के लिए उनको थोड़ा capex करना था, and they were very sure कि like इस साल करेगा. But when you look at the Q1 numbers, now Q1 numbers are a little bit disappointing when you're like telling 50% का growth कर रहे हो, and Q1 का numbers थोड़ा सा like it doesn't look like it's reaching or inching up to that, or it looks like whatever the numbers they posted for Q1, अगर उनको वो 50% का sales growth करना है by the end of the year, they have to really pull up the socks. Now one thing you will see very common with the other companies that are there, Asha Puri, RBC, Khazanchi, is most of these people that are there, they cater more towards your bridal jewelry, okay, या वरना आपका antique jewelry, all of these cups ज़्यादा sale होते हैं in the quarters of Q3 and Q4. So as a result of it, you will see in this Q1 that is there has been a lot more impact, because last time if you remember Q1 में we had Akshaya Tritiya. This time that Akshaya Tritiya occasion was not there. As a result क्या हो रहा है, all of these three companies, since they make a lot of this occasion based jewelry, they had faced a lot of impact in Q1 of this year. Asha Puri का अगर आप देखते हो, sales is up by 19% and PAT is up by around 22%, ठीक है. So that is what they have done. Now over here मेरा वही problem है, volumes भी अगर आप देखते हो ना, volume is only up by 20%. Last time they were doing 62, this year they're 62 kgs in one quarter. This time they're doing 72 kgs in one quarter. So that is a thing ना, मतलब आप बोल रहे हो कि like मेरा sales growth होगा 50% से, and right now you hardly done like if they have to grow by 50% in terms of revenue, then this year they should be clocking somewhere between 475 crores, somewhere between 450 to 475 crores पकड़ लो, and in Q1 you have done only 53 crores. So understand that Q1 में 53 crores and the target for the end of year is 475. There is a huge gap over here, right? Like in 3 quarters, I understand Q3 and Q4 are like the biggest quarters for jewelry season, but still it looks like a bit hard, a bit hard आप बोल सकते हो, it feels like they have to really like push in the months of Q3 and Q4, pull up their socks and be able to do that, right? इनका वही बोलना है, these people have not recalled on the guidance. They have not recalled on the guidance कि like जो 50% का sales growth है, they're very confident. बोला है कि like हमारा order book is very strong. We've got an order book of 102 crores from the exhibition they participated in, and they're very confident. But still यहाँ पे थोड़ा I would say be cautious over here. Why did I tell like this is the closest competitor to Sky Gold is because right earlier if you see there was a huge gap between Sky Gold and all the other players, right? Like Sky Gold was like बाप, right? 100% से grow कर रहा था and everything. None of the players were able to match, right, to the kind of growth rate that Sky Gold is giving. Now if you see this year there will be a 50% का growth engine, next year there will be a 36% का growth engine. On the other hand Asha Puri भी बोल रहे हैं कि like भाई मैं 50% से grow करूँगा, right? Like that is something they're telling. Now if Sky Gold is trading obviously at a far superior valuation than that of Asha Puri, and likewise I mean Sky Gold ka valuation is deserved because of the kind of flawless execution they've had. Now both Sky Gold and Asha Puri if provided that Asha Puri does what they have told, if they are at the same kind of growth rate and Asha Puri is at a similar valuation, then iska P rating ho sakta hai. But again, provided Asha Puri has to perform, they have to walk the talk, right? And looking at it, see, it's not easy for them to do it, because I mean even right now if I have to tell, in the entire race Sky Gold leads the race. There is nobody like them, because we're not just talking about the growth rate, we're talking about the management, we're talking about their capabilities and their execution thing, and none of these companies, right, have don't have that kind of scale, that kind of execution, capabilities that Sky Gold has. So if Asha Puri has to reach that level what Sky Gold has, what valuation Sky Gold is getting right now, then they should be able to, then they should do that kind of growth rate, give that confidence to shareholder in terms of management capabilities, execution and everything. Like I'm telling, it has a chance, थोड़ा सा chance है, but will it be able to, I mean, can it, उसको शायद ये पी रेटिंग मिलेगा नहीं, इसका एग्जीक्यूशन, इस साल का एग्जीक्यूशन में ही पता चलेगा, बिकॉज once you tell 50% का आप गाइडेंस दे रहे हो and after that if you don't do right, it's a really like bad show in the market, you can tell. Then we have the other two players that is there, that is RBC Jewellers. RBC Jewellers का कहना वही है कि again these people also, if you remember, they had a guidance for 700 crores for this year and 45 crores in PAT. इनका भी यही कहना है कि if you look at Q1 of this year and Q1 of last year, you will see that the sales is down by 8.3%, PAT जो है PAT is down by 22%. It is because last Q1 में we had Akshaya Tritiya, this time Akshaya Tritiya happened in Q4. As a result, अगर आप year on year compare करोगे, it looks like the sales is down and everything, but it is not the case. But because last year का base higher था, आगे जाके for the entire year if you look at it, yes, they are very confident कि ये जो 700 करोड़ करेगा in terms of revenue. But I'll tell you one thing that gave me the ick over here, with respect to RBC Jewellers is, उन्होंने बोला है कि this entire year probably the volume growth is going to be muted. Think about it, वहाँ पे if you look at Sky Gold is targeting to reach by the end of the year 700 kgs every month production में. आशा पूरी also ठीक है 500-600 kgs तो कर लेगा इस साल if they walk the talk. RBC Jewellers on the other hand, they're telling everybody, in spite of the hike in gold prices, the volume growth is not getting compromised for the first two companies. Whereas यहाँ पे ये जो sales growth आने वाला है, it might come only because of आपका job work and everything, not necessarily यहाँ पे with you're doing more work in the gold last time than that compared to last year. मतलब ज़्यादा gold में आप काम नहीं कर रहे हो. So that is the only thing. मतलब again, right, that is really off-putting when I heard it from RBC का management. Okay, although इनका जो other plans that are there, ये लोग सूरत and राजकोट में they're putting up 2 showrooms. One should be done by the end of this year. But still, I think when you talk about the entire race over here, when you look at it with respect to Sky Gold, RBC का there is no that execution ही नहीं रहा compared to what Sky Gold has. So it can never compete in that race. So that is why I tell Sky Gold followed by Asha Puri, then followed by RBC, third player. Then the last one we have is Khazanchi Jewellers. Khazanchi Jewellers, अगर आप देखते हो, if it is a small B2B jewelry manufacturer emerging from the state of Tamil Nadu. These people manufacture jewelries, आपका plain gold, आपका studded jewelries for all these local jewelers that are there in and around Tamil Nadu. Okay, अगर आप इसको देखते हो, इसका 90% आता है B2B business से, मतलब you make all this jewelry and you manufacture it, you design it for all the other jewelers, and 10% comes from B2C. उनको एक खुद का showroom है in Chennai, and that is where the other 10% of the sale comes. If you look at it, यहाँ पे the total sales that is there is hardly up by 5%. अगर आप PAT देखते हो, PAT is up by a whooping 64%, and that is due to the inventory gain. Now यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो, sales जो है, sales is up by 5 to 6%. Again, इनका भी यही कहना है कि one is Akshaya Tritiya, second is these people cater more to the bridal category, antique jewelry category, and that sale happens mostly in Q3 and Q4. So that is what it is. And what I don't like about Khazanchi, I'll tell you, you are a B2B jeweler. Okay, मतलब आपका 90% आ रहा है B2B jeweler से, and in con call or in PPT they never mention the volume data, like never. Only in the end of the year we get to know कितना volumes किया है. Okay, so that is one thing that I don't like about this company. These people were supposed to open another showroom in Chennai, मतलब उनका खुद का retail का showroom, second showroom they were supposed to open in Chennai. Now this is again delayed. It was supposed to go live in Q4 of last year. Okay, then they told Q1 में, actually Q3 I believe, then they told Q4, then they told Q1. अभी when we are in Q1 they're telling नहीं, we're not in Q1, we will do it in Q2. ये एक बड़ा एक showroom है, around 10,000 square feet का showroom they are opening, and if this works in like full capacity, then it would be able to do 150 crores this one showroom alone, right? And because of this showroom, the mix will be more towards B2C, मतलब B2B will come down to 75% and B2C will go up from 10 to 25%. Okay, and as you know, B2C में margins higher है, these people will be able to make more PAT as a result of that. But having said that, obviously यहाँ पे if you look at it, right, if I assume कि like इसका PAT margin जो है खजांची का, it is at somewhere between 3.75, then the 1 year forward P still comes up to 18 and 20 in that range. But still, can you see over here, execution का capability नहीं है. आपने बोला Q4 में open करोगे, अभी Q2 चल रहा है, you keep delaying, no clue on what is happening in the B2B business either. मतलब see, ultimately यहाँ पे B2B business you make more money, how much ever volume you do, that the more money you will make, and यहाँ पे volume का ही data नहीं है. So again, this is the last company I would put in the race, ठीक है. So if you have to look at it in the entire race, obviously Sky Gold still continues to be the barb of all the companies, followed by Ashapuri, followed by RBC and Khazanchi in the third place. Now, why am I still putting Sky Gold at the first? Because you talk about it, right? Talk about all the metrics, talk about sales, talk about operating leverage, talk about the volume growth, which is the most important for B2B companies, talk about the EPS growth, capex that is there. Everything. Who's leading the race? Sky Gold. Tell me one point at least where they're missing out, right? Nothing. Sales किया, highest sales growth, right? 56% compared to all the other companies. Because Ashapuri का कितना था? Ashapuri का 20%. RBC का sales is down by 8.3 and Khazanchi का sales by 5%. So who's winning the race over here in terms of sales growth? Again Sky Gold. In terms of operating leverage, किसको ज़्यादा operating leverage मिला यहाँ पे? Again Sky Gold, because Sky Gold का PAT grew by 96%. Ashapuri का grew by 22. If you look at Khazanchi का PAT grew by 60, and if you look at RBC का PAT degrew by 22. Again, who's leading the race over here? Sky Gold is leading the race. When you talk about volume growth grew by 30% for Sky Gold, right? मतलब 450 kgs कर रहा है, and it will also increase when we go for Q4, because in Q4 I think they will be doing around 720 kgs per month. Ashapuri का we do not know if they will be able to increase the capacity utilization and do that 750 kgs in gold, वो भी है. RBC बोल रहा है कि like उनका जो volume growth है that is going to be flat. If you talk about Khazanchi बोल रहा है कि like probably 20 to 25% you can expect. So again, volume growth में who's leading the race? Sky Gold is leading the race. EPS also Sky Gold is leading the race. So guidance अगर आप बात करते हो, who's again walking the talk? Sky Gold, because Sky Gold का guidance क्या था? I will do 5500 crores in revenue and 4 to 5% PAT margin. If you look at Q1, PAT margin is at 3.9% and the Q1 ka revenue is 1300 crores. Well and good. But if you look at Ashapuri, it looks like buckle up the socks. Similarly with RBC also, they need to really buckle up the socks in the upcoming quarters. And same with Khazanchi also, 20 to 25% growth bola, and for that they really need to pull up their socks. Again, in terms of execution mein kaun jeet raha hai yahan pe? Again Sky Gold only. So you see, right? And again, management ka capabilities baat karo, every single metric Sky Gold is winning the race. So there is no chance for all these players that is there, right? Ashapuri, RBC, Khazanchi, if they have to get uska P rating hona chahiye, then they have to grow faster than that of Sky Gold, right? Which we do not see them doing. Like they have not been able to beat Sky Gold, not even for one quarter. That is one thing. Race में तो ये sales growth के हिसाब से तो ऊपर नहीं आ रहा है. Second thing is, अगर आप if you're not able to grow faster than that of Sky Gold, which has a far bigger market cap than you and a far higher PE than you, then why would आपका P rating क्यों होगा? I mean, the only way all of these other three companies will get P rating is when they grow faster than that of Sky Gold. Now, then only it becomes lucrative to leave Sky Gold and come and join these plays. But when you are, otherwise क्यों कोई Sky Gold का shareholder उसको लेके उसको छोड़ के यहाँ पे आएगा? So that is the thing. The entire race, if you see, Sky Gold is leading. But yes, the only thing with Sky Gold, I would raise a little bit of caution over here, is because it is no longer, I would say, in that stage where you can continue to add, and like until now I would say it was in a stage where you could continue to add and add and add. But anymore I would say like I'm not saying completely avoid, but better be cautious, little bit cautious raho yahan pe, because eventually the pace of growth is going to come down for the business as the size of the business increases, and this is something you cannot avoid, right? It is just the nature of how it works. Jitna size badhega utna uska jo growth rate hai wo kam hota hi rahega, and along with that uska P badhta jayega. To ultimately that would be a little bit of like a break in terms of the momentum, in terms of that. So that is the only thing, but overall great, brilliant execution. So that's that with the entire B2B aapka the jewelry space. You might have seen that we've also covered in the portfolio analysis workshop, Q1 FY26 workshop. आपने देखा ही होगा, मैंने ये सारा companies cover किया था, explaining the opportunities. And in this also we have covered वो Renaissance Global, Uday Jewelers, Cabra Jewelers, Goldium International, all these chotu players. We've covered what we have done this time in the Q1 FY26 workshop is not just showing you our portfolio and how the allocation has changed compared from last quarter to this quarter. But what we've also done is, every single sector उठा के आपको वहाँ पे क्या क्या opportunities है, everything we have discussed. So make sure you get that workshop, to know more as to, like, what are the opportunities, what are the companies that are available, so you can also read about those companies. Anyways, guys, that's that about today's video. I'll see you again in another video tomorrow. So I think all the request that is there has been done. We'll have to see. There are some other, actually I have a lot of companies to cover. There are a lot of new companies, but uska market cap is very small, so I feel a bit uncomfortable making videos on that. So that is the thing. One good company is Afcom Holdings बोल के है. I'll see if I can make a video on that tomorrow, and let me know if you guys would be interested to know about that. And that's that. Take care. Bye.